Hi everyone. This is a short reading from the beginning of an unpublished book of mine, which is provisionally called My Bonnie Lies, and it's about time-travelling pirates, if you like that kind of thing. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1. Dublin, Republic of Ireland, 2042. It looked like a grasshopper. Well, if grasshoppers were minions of the devil. Black and spiky, with wings like gold filigree and huge legs poised to jump. Its feet were tipped with tiny claws, little knives pricking the back of our hand. My mother always said there was good eating on a grasshopper, said Bonnie. The bug twitched its antennae at her. But that you should probably cook it first. After all, where have you been? From down the street came the sweaty sock smell of the air conditioning units that kept the tech labs at the optimum temperature. The breeze lifted a few tendrils of Bonnie's hair from her sweat-dampened neck. No doubt James would be up soon enough to tell her to shut the window and stop air conditioning the fecking street. Bonnie glanced at her expensive watch. It's 35 degrees out at 8 p.m, she told the bug on her hand. I reckon the street could use a little air conditioning. She peered closer at the bug. You're not radioactive, are you? What's not, said James, cold air rushing in from the house as he entered the bedroom. Shut that bloody window, would you? I'm not air conditioning the street, Bonnie muttered along with him. She gave the bug a knowing look. It shifted position as she reached with her other hand to close the window, and instinctively she cupped her fingers over it. If she let it move, it would leap away. One huge jump from those powerful back legs, and she'd never see it again. Her husband bustled around, fussing over his tie or his shoes or something. Bonnie had stopped paying attention to him years ago. What's not radioactive? He repeated. I said close that window. I like the sun, said Bonnie. Maybe she'd jump out of the window. If she had legs like the grasshopper thing, she could just jump onto the roof of the apartment block opposite. Jump again and be half the city away. Jump again and be free. James cast her a look of disgust as he moved forward to close the window himself. Of course you do. Trying to burn yourself to death now. Skin cancer's a slow way to go. Preferable to being married to you, Bonnie thought, but she didn't say it. She'd once thought he was handsome, but now she realised he was just rich. Good skin, thick hair, not prematurely aged or sick or worn out like most of the people from home. Like Bonnie would have been if she hadn't got out. Put your jewellery on, he said, holding out the diamond necklace from its stand. We don't want people to think we're poor. Light flashed and bounced from the stones. Bonnie didn't take it. People had died finding those diamonds, and more people had died to keep them. What have you got there? He said, noticing her cupped hand. Nothing. Bonnie turned away, but he caught her. I said, his face was harder now, what have you got? His hand was too tight on her arm. It was always too tight. Bonnie didn't flinch anymore, because he liked it when she flinched. She turned cool eyes on him, the look of this stain that came so naturally these days. Show me, James said. It's just a bug. When his eyes narrowed, she rolled her own and clarified it. The insect kind? James was paranoid about people stealing his secrets. It wasn't that he had any brilliant ideas to protect, so Bonnie figured he was probably doing something illegal. It would explain all the untraceable assets he liked so much. Vermin, said James. That's why I tell you to keep the fucking windows closed. Maybe I like bugs, Bonnie said provocatively. Yeah, you would. I've heard about you a lot, eating insects. There's good eating on an insect, Bonnie said, refusing to be embarrassed. Her mother had fried cockroaches to feed her children, and that was why Bonnie had grown up healthy and strong. I wish I was back there now. Back home, where if the sun didn't get you, the acid rain would, or the pollution, or the lack of food and basic health care. We have plenty of food. Maybe I just like bugs. Maybe they're my friends. Don't give me that, James said. You have friends. You have friends. I put up with them. Let go of me. She tugged her arm away from him. He tightened his grip. I once pulled a knife on a man like you. But she couldn't do it now. He had too many holds over her. Show me what you've got. If I move my hand, it'll jump away. James splattered his fist down on top of hers too suddenly for her to stop him. The bug squelched between her hands. Suddenly furious, Bonnie wrenched away from him and stared at the sticky mess that remained of the grasshopper. It had just been a bug. Just some weird black thing with pointy legs. It hadn't been her friend, and it hadn't been her dinner. The world was full of insects. That's disgusting, said James, peering at it from a distance as if it might contaminate him. Bonnie fixed him with a look and deliberately licked up the smashed bug from the back of her hand. It didn't taste like the usual vaguely fishy flavour of grasshopper. It tasted like the sea air, like freshness and freedom. "You're disgusting," James added, turning away as Bonnie stuck out her tongue with a shiny black grasshopper leg on it. She said pointedly, licking her lips. At least he wouldn't be kissing her tonight. "Bug eater," he snapped, hurling the diamond necklace at her. Bonnie caught it without looking, in a hand that still bore the smears of the dead bug. "Arse licker," she replied, because James would brown-nose anybody you thought would make him money. His cheeks went red. "You want me to keep paying your sister's school fees," he said, and Bonnie hated herself. "You want me to pay for your mother's medical care?" If she could run away, if she could really leap over the buildings and fly, if she even had the courage to throw herself out of the window. If she did that, her mother and her sister would go back to the misery they'd come from. Back to the potato fields and the nuclear plant and the prefab housing that didn't keep the heat out. Back to the fear of being caught poaching or else cockroaches for dinner. Back to radiation leaks and electricity for 3 hours a day and the hope that tonight wouldn't be the night the landlord wanted special favours. Bonnie fastened the cold diamonds around her neck and gave James the smile he claimed captivated him from the start. "Thank you, James," she said, in her most refined accent, only a hint of her homeland still traceable. "What time will our guests be arriving?" He looked her over, eyes narrowed. Bonnie resisted the urge to smooth her nice silk dress or check her artfully tousled hair. She'd kept her end of the bargain, which was basically to look good and charm his business associates, and be terribly grateful to him for rescuing her from penury. "My little English waif," he'd call her to his friends, and Bonnie would fantasize about killing him. "They're nearly here," he said. "Don't embarrass me tonight." "Of course not," Bonnie said, smiling like an automaton, and followed him out.